Hello students. I want to go over a lists and a tuple and a dictionary because it looked like quite a few of you had some issues with this, and I feel like I can enlighten you on these three topics. Now, even though the assignment didn't call for it, I'm going to go ahead and put these in functions versus just throwing code up on the screen. And it's just, when I do this, you'll see that it's a lot easier to explain the code and for it actually to stay organized. So we're going to, as usual, we're going to call our function main. And another thing that we need to do is we need to create the entry point that that tells us where the entry point to the code is. So when you have multiple functions, you have to do this part down here. So let's go ahead and do that. And I love MS Visual Code because it just automatically does this for us, which is really nice. And if this is the case, then all we need to do is say main. Yep, and that's it. Okay, so once you have this little template, the next thing you can do just to make sure everything's working is you can just do a print test type of thing. This is what I usually do. Hit F5, and yeah, and there it is right here. So we have test came up, it printed out on the console, and so we know that this is set up properly. That's just a really quick way to test your code, make sure that it's set up properly. Okay, so we know that that's set up properly. We know that our script is functional. So now we can start working here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and create the three functions. So that way they're ready to go. Let me just make sure that my indent's good. So I'm going to do list. I'm going to call mine my first function list tasks because we'll be working with list tasks. Now these functions haven't been created yet. We're going to create them one at a time. So, but I like to go ahead and do this because I know that I'm going to create these. And it just kind of helps to get them out of the way. Now these last two, I'm going to go ahead and comment them out because I'm not ready for them yet, and they're going to be later. And so let's get rid of this. And now what we need to do is we need to create our three functions. So let's go ahead and do that so that way they're ready. And the first one is going to be list tasks that we just put up above. And I'll just go ahead. There's not going to be anything in it, so we'll just do this. And the next thing we're going to do is create the next function, which is tuple tasks. So I'll just type for a little bit here. So I want tasks and return. Okay. And now that they're created, I can do this. I actually didn't need to comment them out. This would have worked just fine. So now this is set up correctly. We have our three functions, the things that we're going to be working with. And as you can see in the main, they're called one at a time. So list will be called first, then tuple, then dictionary. And just to make sure everything's working again, I'll go ahead and do this one more time. And just hit F5. I don't know why I keep doing it that way. I can just hit this little thing here. And there it is, it works, so we're good to go. Okay, thank you. And so all this is good. Now I can start working in the list tasks. And we're asked to do a bunch of things. The first thing we're going to do is create a list. And so I'm just going to call mine values. Actually, should probably call them... Yeah, I just call them list values, actually. I like that. Sounds better. So this is going to be called list values, and I'm going to show you how to set up a list. So it's really just doing this. It's really, really simple. And I'm going to enter some numbers. These will just be integers, so I'm just going to keep it really simple. These could be strings. It doesn't really matter. Right now I'm just going to use integers. And then the next thing I want to do, so I have a list. I've created it. The next thing I'm going to do is I want to, the instructions say I need to find the length of a list. So find length. And so we're going to go ahead and do that. And this is really simple. All we need to do is say print. And remember in Python, print, all print does it means it's going to be right into the console. So now we're going to say print length, and we're going to enter the list value. List value. So it's the list, and that's it. Okay. So here's what happened. We created our list values on line 8. We entered some numbers, whole integers. Then on line 11, we're going to find what the length of this list is. So we're going to print, and the keyword in Python is length. So length, L-E-N, of the list values, which is the list. And then we hit return. So now we can just hit F5. And I keep doing that, and I don't mean to do that, so let me get out of this. Didn't like my return, and that's because now when you see something like this, it's because usually it's the indent's off. So just fix your indent. Take a quick. I fixed my indent, and now we still have our code here on line 11 to find a length. We hit that, and we come up with 5. So the length of the values here is 5. That's true. Whole integer, 5 values. Okay. So now the next thing that we're going to do here is we're going to, what's the instructions say? Find. So now we're working with what's called slices. In Python, these are called slices. So what we're going to do with slices is we're going to find the first 3 items. So again, we're going to use our print function. So I'll go ahead and see what we're going to do here. Find first 3 items. Okay. So again, this part's really simple. We'll say print again. And this time we're going to cast these as a string because they're going to come out as integers. So I'm going to do the str to cast as a string. And we're going to say the name of our list, which is list values. And now I'll explain slices a bit. And so what we're going to, I cannot work and talk at the same time. It's just, I'm not gifted with the multitasking. Okay, so we need this, and what we're going to do here is we're going to do this. And what this says is, give us the first 3 items. Now the way slices work in Python is right before this colon here, we could enter a 0. And so this would says start here at index 0. Remember that in a list we have indexes, so 0, 1, 2, and so forth. So this says start at index 0 and go through to the 3rd index, but not including the 3rd index. So it's going to be 0, 1, 2. So it's going to be returned. Okay, so if you don't put anything here, if you do that, the system will default it to 0. So this and blank in here and 0 is the same thing. That's going to return us our first 3 values. So it should return 1, 2, 3. Let's see if that is the case. Oops, and again with this, this one here is not about the return. This is about missing a parentheses. Okay, so now you can see it did that 1, 2, 3, and it returned the first 3 values from 0 to 3, so 0, 1, and 2. So the integer value 3 is actually sitting at index number 2. This is index 0, index 1, index 2, and this is telling us to get everything from index 0 through 2, but not including index 3. And that's why we get 1, 2, 3. Okay, so we found the first 3 items. Now it wants us to find the last item. So that's pretty easy too. Okay, so now this time what we're going to do is we still need this symbol, these right here, the open close bracket, but this time what we're going to do is we're going to put a -1. And what this tells us is this tells us to start at the end of the string and capture the first character. So that's going to get us our last item. That's what that is. Okay, so let's go ahead and run this again. And there it is. The last item is 5. 5 right here is the last item. It shows up again. Okay, nice. All right, now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to find a range of items. Now here it's just whatever you put. So here I'm going to put from index 1 up to 3, but not including 3. So it should return index 1 and 2, which is 2 and 3 is what should be returned here. And there you have it. So again, this is started at index 1, 0, 1. What's at index 1? Number 2. And it goes up, but not including 3. So the next one is going to be this one here. So 0, 1, 2. And it's going to return 3 because 3 is index number 2. And you can see that right here. All right. What else are we going to do here? Oh, we want to append a value to the end of the list. Okay, so let's do that. Oops, what is this called? List of values. Okay. So we have to put our name of our list, and this time we're going to use the keyword append, and all we need to do is say what we're going to append. So let's see, 5, I guess the next logical one is 6. Let's do that, and we want to print again. But rather than print so soon, let's go ahead and do the next command, which is to what is the next thing to do? Oh, it wants to append a value to the beginning of the list. Well, that's interesting. Okay, append to. Okay, so what we do here is we have to again always name the list, which is our list values, and this time we're going to use the insert function, and we're going to, it's actually called the insert property, and we're going to put it at 0, and then, so that tells us the index. We're going to set, and you can see right here, it tells you insert index at an integer, so it's going to be an integer, and we're at index 0, so 0 is the beginning, and we're going to now put what the value is, and our value that we're going to enter, since this is will be 6, let's just put 9 just to be different, and so it's going to insert 9 at the beginning, and now we'll go ahead and print this just to see what happens here. And that should do it. Okay, so let's run this. Okay, so now if you look at the bottom one, we have 9 at the beginning, which is what we did there. We have 6 at the end, which is what we did here. We have a range. The other things are still there. So all this worked. All right, so the next thing we want to do is, oh, we want to sort the list out. It says here in instructions. Yeah, sort it. Okay, so that's really, really simple. Actually, so all it is it's just basically the property sort. That's it. So let's run that. Oops, and that came up none because I messed something up. What did I mess up? I think you can't do this together. Let me double check this, because that looks right. And now let's print list values. Okay. There we go. All right, so I don't know why it's doing that. Okay, so here the very last one is as we sorted. We sorted the values and then we printed it out. And so here you can see it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 9 because we jumped 7 and 8. And then here we have our 9 added at the beginning of the index. 9, 6 was appended at the end. It's right here. And so we've done everything we needed to do. It's kind of cool. All right, so that concludes the list stuff, and you can see that that's called right here in the list tasks. We call this function, and then we just do all these items. Next, we're going to do the tuples. I don't think there's very much asked about that. Let me see what the instructions here say. Tuples. What are tuples? Basically, it just wants us to create a tuple and print it out. Okay, well that's really simple. So we're going to call ours value tuples, just to stay in our nomenclature. And this is how you create a tuple. And again, I'm just going to stick with integers. These could be strings. And print it out. Okay, well that's pretty simple. And that is it. Oh, okay, I don't care. Okay, and here it is. It's output right here. There's our tuples 1 through 5. Cool. Okay, so the next one is our dictionary. Dictionary is a little bit more complicated, but not really a lot more complicated. Oh, and look at this. I put this stuff in the wrong area. I put it in the dictionary. I'm so sorry, guys. Okay, let's cut this out and let's just throw it up here where it goes. Okay, so now we're going to be working in dictionary, and let's see. We want to create a dictionary. Now, a dictionary is where we can create some value pairs, and so this is kind of nice. And again, staying with our nomenclature, let's declare a variable. A dictionary. It's going to be called value, and just for shorthand, I'm going to say dict. And we need to initialize it and assign it some variables. Declare as a way of declaring it and initializing it. And that's this is the open and close brackets that we're going to use for this. Now these could be strings. Remember that I just like using numbers because they're simple. So I'm going to say 1, and the next one I'm going to give it a string, a short string, and the next one's going to be 2, and the pair is going to be I'll just say there. Oops. 3. I'll explain all this here in a minute. Okay, do that. Clean it up a bit. I think this is good. Let's see. All right. Okay, so we created a dictionary called value dict, and we created some pair values. And so we're pairing 1 with the string hi, 2 with the string 3, and 3 with the string coder. And again, I want to emphasize this could be a string itself right here. This could be 1, O-N-E, and T-W-O, and T-H-R-E-E. So it doesn't have to be numbers. I choose it to use them because they're easy and fast to work with. All right, so it says it wants us to print the value with a certain key. All right, so let's do that. So the first thing I'm going to do here, I need to say what we're doing. Let's see. What was I calling it up here? Find. Okay, so let's say find value with a certain key. Okay, and the first items are keys. So 1 is a key, 2 is a key, 3 is a key. The next items are our values are items. Okay, so now all we need to do is say value dict, and this time we're going to use the property get, and we're going to say what we want. So for in this example, I want to return there. So I'm looking for this right here. So I'm going to pass it the key value 2, and I want to get that. And the next thing I want to do is stick all this inside of a print function so that it returns all of it. And let's go ahead and run this. And there it is, there. That worked. All right. So what's it want us to do next? Add a value pair. All right, that's simple enough. So add a value pair. We're going to say value dict, and this time we're going to I always do that, I'm so sorry. Look at this. This time we're going to say, what are we going to say? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So let's add 6. So the next one will be 6. And we're going to assign it a value. So we need to use equal. And that value is going to be, again, like that. Okay. Now what else does it want us to do? And before I put it all, we'll do a couple of commands. The next one is to delete. And so we're going to delete, what should we delete? We'll delete coder. So we're going to delete the value pair 3, and so all that is delete value dict, and all we need to do is give it the key. And that's it. Okay. So now, all we need to do is print the keys, and so let's I want to, oh my goodness, sorry people. So the next thing I want to do is do a couple of different things to print. We're going to print the items, and so that's going to be print value, and we're going to say values. I'm sorry, I forgot which one was doing. Items, goodness, and that should work. And then I'll be right back because I've got to go eat. And when I get done, then we'll do a couple more before we wrap up. Okay, so the next thing I want to do is print the keys, and that's really simple also. And that'll give us the keys. And let's see, what else do we want to do? We have items and keys, and I don't think we did values. So the next thing we do is print the values. And you'll see what all this stuff does. Okay, and so now let's do that. So we don't see everything else. I'm going to go ahead and comment out the call to the list and the call to the tuple, and we'll just look at the dictionary tasks. So that way the only function that passes or is called is this one right here with all these items. Okay, let's see what happens. We'll click on that. And so here we go. So the first one is to get the second value and get it there. It's there, the second value. The next one is the tick items. Let's see, what is the second one? Is the keys. And so, we get the, value pair. And so here we have our value pairs. 1 HI, high, 2 and there, 6 and again. And then we have the, on line 54, the items. And so this is our items right here. Items, keys, value pairs, or values, I'm sorry. Did I do it all right? Let's see. I think that makes sense. Items, keys, values. Okay, and that is it. So let me get rid of this. This is how I would do this assignment. You haven't read how to do functions, but it's really simple. Just start the way I did with that skeleton. Do your main here, and then create your different functions that are going to call different things. Have to make sure you include this right here. This tells the code where the entry point is into the code, and then you can call all these different functions. And that's it.